Hey guys, it looks like Loumari is playing catch up. They were off for a while. They actually stepped back, redid their branding, their packaging, and bottles. They have brand new bottles now. And last July, June, July, they launched a new fragrance called Aomak. This is it right here. Did you guys get your samples? We featured this in our latest mystery box. Let me know what your thoughts are on Aomak. Add a comment below. But that came out around June, July of this year. Now we have a new one created by Julien Rasquinet. It's called Amber Malatya. So you can see the color of this bottle. This is the color I smell in this fragrance. So this is created by Julien Rasquinet, the latest fragrance from Loumari. I'm going to talk to you about it today in this video. I'm a fan of Julien's work. Remember, I collaborated with him on this fragrance, Juice Boxes 54. We did a great fragrance together, and he's done a great job here as well with the Amber Malatya. This is an amber that I haven't smelled before. I would classify this as a fruity amber, focusing on apricots. When I first smelled this fragrance, I thought, am I smelling mangoes? Something very fruity, but it's also not super sweet. It's a tart kind of fruity. And there might be some light green undertones there as well. At least that's what I pick up when I'm smelling this fragrance. But it turned out to be apricots. And the fact that it has oud in it, it has amber, there's saffron leather touches. It's quite Middle Eastern. It has a very Middle Eastern lean to it. But in the end, it's the apricots in here, the fruitiness adds this kind of playful energy to the fragrance, even though, it's got the leather and the oud in here and it goes into that Middle Eastern direction. I think the apricots balances it out and creates this very fun, playful and also accessible kind of, a fruity amber fragrance. So Amber Malatya is the latest fragrance from Loumari. As I said, they have they were gone for a while. Now they've got two fragrances launched within 4, 5, 6 months from one another. So they're playing catch up. But I think they did a great job with the amber, which is something that's more substantial in comparison to the Aomak, which I think it was timed correct with Aomak launching in the middle of summer. It's the summer appropriate fragrance. Here we've got an amber focused fragrance that goes into the leathery and oudi direction. It's launching appropriately in the autumn season here on our way to the winter when it gets cooler and you can wear this. But this is the kind of amber that actually balances out the fragrance and makes it a bit more accessible in seasons that are not super cold, because the apricots in this provides this easy access to the fragrance where it doesn't feel so super dense and intense and something that's strictly left for the winter. So I think it's perfectly timed now, launching in autumn. It's going to be a great autumn fragrance, but one that goes super fruity. This is super, super fruity. It's also dense and pulpy. And there is a Middle Eastern treat that it kind of reminds me of. It's an apricot type roll up. It comes in a kind of a sheet and it's rolled flat and it's like this thick gooey apricot, like a fruit roll up. I don't know what it's called to tell you, but if you ever go to a Middle Eastern grocery store, they'll have them in a stack. It comes in an orange cellophane. Yeah, it's a cellophane, and inside it, it's this thick sheet of apricot paste that you can pick off and eat. And this fragrance kind of reminds me of that. That's why I kind of think it goes into the Middle Eastern direction a bit. So this is a 2025 launch created by Julien Rasquinet. 100 ml retails for 280 euros. It's a fruity amber. I would classify that as that style of fragrance. There is a discount code in the info box if you're curious to check this one out. It does feature apricots, saffron, coriander, rose, patchouli heart, Australian sandalwood, Cambodian oud, leather, cistus labdanum. So the Australian sandalwood is also providing this kind of thick, creamy layer to the fragrance. Remember, I did say it reminded me of mangoes at first. I thought I was smelling mangoes. I don't know why, but kind of gave me that kind of reminder. I think what's going on with the apricots here mixed with all the other notes kind of played tricks with my mind. But when you really focus on it, you definitely pick out the apricots and that like fruit roll-up thing I was just telling you about that's very edible to eat. I was obsessed with that as a young kid. I used to eat it all the time. It's just really love the flavor of it because it had this sweet tart, flavor, super fruity. And again, it totally reminds me of this for some strange reason. That's what I think I'm wearing and smelling what that apricot fruit roll-up thing is. But the fact that the Australian sandalwood is here, the whole fragrance is super creamy and it's got this smooth experience when you spritz it on. But for me, the apricots are not super ripe, but it's almost like made into an apricot jam because the texture of the fragrance comes off this thick and dense. So it's really, really super potent fragrance, which I like. I like these fragrances to be like this, to be super intense and also very, very long lasting. I think the fragrance is super concentrated and intense. When you spritz it on, you'll really experience the fragrance alive and, blending in with your chemistry and then projecting off of you and so on. Let's quickly smell the fragrance because I think this is going to be a hit. I haven't smelled a fragrance like this from Julien, although maybe I think it's definitely his work, but I haven't tried anything this super densely fruity from Julien. Like, the 54 that we created is not super fruity. We've got some fruits in there. The Moon from Frederic Malle has some fruits in there. This, I feel like the fruits are right in your face and you're swimming in the fruits, and it's a stone fruity kind of a mixture. So it's super dense, but there's definitely a tartness here. It also gives me the idea of tropical fruits, and I think that's why it reminded me of mangoes. There's something in here that reminds me of mangoes, and it's not mangoes. They credit apricots, and it certainly is when you really focus on it. But there's something here that's mixed together, the way it's mixed together, that it's creating this kind of an effect. But the fragrance eventually dries down to this thick amber with light touches of oud and leather. I think for me, I got more leather than the oud, but it's blended in a way that the apricots are so super strong, it carries over throughout the life of the fragrance. But I feel like also when it's drying down, the fragrance becomes less and less apricot, but it blends nicely, smoothly, and also very, very creamy, very creamy. So yeah, I think this is going to be a hit. It's got this fun, playful side because it's the fruitiness of the apricots. It's got a bit more serious side because it has the oud and leather. And of course, it gives you the reminder of a Middle Eastern fragrance. It's a super potent fragrance, really, really long lasting. And the other thing is, I've been talking a lot about ambers lately. I've done some videos on ambers. So I don't know if you guys are fans of ambers. Check out, there's a lot of ambers out there. This to me is not like some of the other ambers I've experienced. This is more, it's a fruit, like it's a fruity amber. So I'm trying to think if I know of any other fruity ambers that I've really loved and enjoyed wearing. And even though I consider amber fragrances to be a bit more serious, the fact that this has all that fruit in it, it gives it a playful side. And I think it should be a lot more accessible by people that might not be into ambers. Maybe ambers are a bit too mature for people. They're not, enjoying those kind of fragrances. I think the fruits in this is going to make people embrace this kind of a fragrance a lot more rather than, whoa, that's an amber. It's a bit too serious for me. I like my fragrances to be a bit more playful, which the apricots provides here. So those are my thoughts on Amber Malatya from the house of Loumari. Have you guys experienced this fragrance yet? It's brand spanking new, as I said. So Amber Malatya is out now, coming several months after Aomak, which launched last summer, but totally different fragrances. They're completely different than one another. Whereas the Aomak is a super citrusy, fresh and aromatic fragrance, but Amber Malatya, uber fruity and ambery with a leathery, oudy, spicy touch. So those are my thoughts on these two fragrances. But let me give you a little bit of a rundown on some of the fragrances from Loumari as well. I think Loumari is probably known for their fragrance called Porthole, which launched 3 years ago. And it's a really super delicious, fruity, salty fragrance that I feel like, even though it has some gourmand notes in it, it's perfect to wear when it's warm outside. I think that salt that's featured in this fragrance kind of balances out the fragrance and doesn't make it overwhelmingly gourmand. And it's called Porthole. It doesn't have marine notes in it, but the saltiness kind of, makes the fragrance a bit marine-esque. But I really, really love the fragrance. It's a great fragrance, and I feel like it's still the top fragrance from the house. I absolutely love it. And then we've got Almeria, which used to be my favorite from the house overall when they first launched. It's a tobacco fragrance with some almonds in it, but it's a super masculine offering. And even though I think it has these slight gourmand notes, there's lots of woods and spices in it that makes the fragrance become a bit more, you know, masculine. But I really love it. It's super sexy wear. Is the first fragrance I fell in love with. So I would say Al Maria is my number 2, but it's really, really close with Amber Malatya, which is one that just launched and I just spoke to you about. Followed by Amber Malatya, I would say Aomak or Noble Caval. Noble Caval is one that I recently circled back to. I actually quite like it as well after playing around with it. I think it's a bit more aromatic and spicy. It's got its freshness, but it's totally different than Aomak. They were completely different, but it's got this kind of a musky undertone as well that adds this extra sexy layer to the fragrance. It's somehow I had skipped it, but sometimes you sample fragrances a lot and you think, okay, that one I like it, but you kind of forget about it. Then you come back to it and it kind of like clicks or something and you end up liking it. So Noble Caval and Aomak are kind of tied, but I'm kind of leaning towards Noble Caval now. I don't know why, but both of these are great fragrances. And then we've got Maidan. Maidan is after that, but it's also kind of tied with Saja. Maidan is a woody, spicy. It comes off a bit fruity for me as well. Very Middle Eastern style, I think. To me, it smells of autumn. It's kind of dry. It's kind of spicy, warm, spicy, and things like that. So it acts a bit on the kind of autumn-like side. And then finally, Saja. I think it's a rose and oud combo. It's super spicy, and I think if you like this kind of a fragrance, I think it's got roses as well, I think. Yeah, it's very rosy. It reminds me a little bit of Portrait of a Lady, but I think it's the rose and oud thing. Not necessarily smelling like it, but the rose kind of reminds me of it. I think it's lacking the patchouli, but it's a very spicy rose and an oud combo. So these are the fragrances of the house. A really great collection of niche fragrances. If you haven't tried them, please do. And of course, the latest fragrance is Amber Malatya, created by Julien Rasquinet. Let me know if you've sampled it. Let me know if you know the brand. I've featured the brand in our Scent Club kits quite a bit. Of course, Porthole, again, still a really great fragrance. So let me know your thoughts on the brand and also what your thoughts are on the new Amber Malatya from the House of Loumari. Do add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon, and give a thumbs up for this video. See you guys later. Bye-bye.